What if I told you that a bird once worshipped by pharaohs is now vanishing from the very landscapes that have sustained it for millennia? Not because of hunters or poachers, but because of something far more silent and systematic. Picture a bird so revered in ancient Egypt that it was considered the living embodiment of Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. The African sacred ibis, with its sleek black and white plumage, curved beak, and graceful presence, was believed to carry divine messages between worlds. Temples were built in its honor. Mummified ibises were placed in tombs to guide pharaohs into the afterlife. For thousands of years, this bird wasn't just part of the ecosystem. It was woven into human culture, myth, and spirituality. But today, along the riverbanks and marshes where it once thrived, something unsettling is happening. The sacred ibis is quietly retreating. Not in a dramatic collapse, but in a slow, steady fade, and the reason lies beneath its feet. To understand why this ancient bird is losing ground, we need to look at what's happening to the one thing it cannot live without. Wetlands are among the most productive ecosystems on Earth. They're not just swamps or mires. They're intricate, life-giving networks of shallow water, reeds, mudflats, and grasses. For the sacred ibis, these are more than just homes. They're supermarkets, nurseries, and shelters all in one. Here, the ibis uses its long, sensitive beak to probe the soft mud for insects, crustaceans, and small fish. It nests in dense reed beds, safe from predators. It raises its young in the calm, food-rich shallows, but over the last half-century, something began to shift. Across sub-Saharan Africa, from the Nile Delta to the Okavango, from Lake Chad to the wetlands of Madagascar, these vital habitats started to shrink. At first, it was subtle, a marsh slowly drying up, a floodplain no longer flooding. Then it became undeniable, so what's causing the disappearance? The first and most significant factor is water diversion. Rivers that once flowed freely into vast deltas are now being dammed, redirected, and drained to support growing cities and farmlands. In places like the Niger River Basin, upstream dams have reduced seasonal flooding, the very pulse that renews wetland soils and triggers breeding cycles for species like the ibis. Without that rhythm, the wetlands grow still, then stagnant, then dry. The second pressure is agriculture. As populations grow, more land is converted to crops. Wetlands are often seen as wastelands, ready to be drained and put to use. Rice paddies and sugar plantations replace native reeds and sedges. Pesticides and fertilizers seep into the water, poisoning the insects and small aquatic life that the ibis depends on. But there's a third, less visible threat: climate uncertainty. Rainfall patterns are becoming erratic. Some regions face prolonged droughts, others experience intense, destructive floods. Wetlands are finely balanced systems. They depend on consistency. When the rains fail or arrive too fiercely, the ibis's nesting sites wash away, or its feeding grounds turn to dust. All of this might sound like a slow, ecological tragedy, and in many ways it is. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because the sacred ibis isn't just a passive victim, it's adapting. In some regions, ibises have moved into urban areas, foraging in city parks, sewage ponds, and even garbage dumps. They're survivors, but this shift comes at a cost. Urban ibises face new dangers: pollution, predators like dogs and cats, and collisions with power lines. Their chicks are raised not among reeds, but next to concrete canals. It's a trade-off, a move born not of choice, but necessity, and that's the heart of the issue. When a species as resilient as the sacred ibis is forced to abandon its ancestral home, It tells us something profound about the state of our natural world. Wetlands aren't just scenery, they're life support systems. They filter water, prevent floods, store carbon, and cradle biodiversity. When they disappear, we don't just lose birds. We lose functioning ecosystems, and with them, part of our own natural heritage. The good news is this isn't a hopeless story. Across Africa, conservationists, local communities, and governments are beginning to restore wetlands. In South Africa, projects like the Isimangaliso Wetland Park have shown that with careful management, water flows can be restored, invasive plants removed, and wildlife encouraged to return. In Egypt, efforts are underway to protect the Nile's remaining floodplains. In Botswana, community-led ecotourism is giving wetlands economic value, making them worth more alive than drained. The sacred Ibis doesn't need temples built in its honor anymore. What it needs are healthy, flowing wetlands, places where it can feed, breed, and simply be. And in protecting those places, we're not just saving a bird. We're preserving a living link to our past and safeguarding natural systems that all of us, in one way or another, depend on. What other wetland species do you think need more attention? Share your thoughts in the comments. We might feature one in a future video. And if you want to help protect the world's most vulnerable wildlife, subscribe to Rare Species and join the community.